Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts because what I'm about to tell you sounds like it was ripped straight from the pages of a Hollywood screenplay. Except this isn't fiction. This is real life, happening right now. And it involves a sweaty tennis racket, a starstruck little girl, a billionaire sheikh with a heart of gold, and the pride of the Philippines, Alexandra Eala. What started as an innocent gesture of kindness has exploded into what insiders are calling the most unexpected mega sponsorship deal in the history of professional tennis. A deal so massive that it has left the entire sporting world, from the glittering courts of Wimbledon to the corporate headquarters of Nike and Adidas, absolutely speechless. Picture this. You're a young tennis player grinding your way through the brutal Middle East circuit. The sun is merciless, the competition is fierce, and every match feels like you're carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire nation on your shoulders. You're exhausted, both mentally and physically. The critics are circling like vultures, questioning whether you have what it takes to break into the elite ranks of the sport. You walk off the court after giving everything you have, drenched in sweat, your muscles screaming, your mind foggy with fatigue. Most athletes in that moment are thinking about one thing: getting to the locker room, taking an ice bath, and checking their phones. But Alex Eala saw something different that day. She saw a little girl in the VIP section clutching a tiny Filipino flag, her eyes wide with admiration, not for the world's top-ranked players, not for the tennis legends in attendance, but for her. And in that split second, Alex made a decision that would change her life forever. She didn't pull out a signed tennis ball. She didn't wave politely and walk away. She reached into her bag and pulled out her match-used racket, the very weapon she uses to battle against the world's best. A piece of equipment so precisely calibrated to her playing style that tennis players rarely, if ever, give them away. These rackets are sacred. They're extensions of a player's arm, their most trusted companion on the court. But Alex handed it over the railing to the little girl without a second thought, smiled that genuine, warm smile she's known for, and said, "This is for you. Keep dreaming." The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed. The little girl burst into tears, clutching that racket like it was encrusted with diamonds. And standing right behind her, watching this entire exchange unfold, was her father, Sheikh Khalid al-Rashid, a man known for his immense privacy, his legendary generosity, and his deep love for the sport of tennis. For a few hours, the world moved on. Social media buzzed a little with posts about how sweet Alex was, how kind, how humble. But most people, including Alex herself, thought that was the end of the story. A nice moment, a heartwarming gesture, the kind of thing that makes you smile when you scroll past it on Instagram before you move on to the next post. Alex went back to her hotel, probably called her parents, maybe watched some Netflix, completely unaware that behind the palace walls of Sheikh Khalid al-Rashid, the wheels of destiny were turning at maximum speed. Because what happened next is the stuff legends are made of. Inside the Sheikh's palace, discussions were taking place. Not about business deals or oil prices or real estate investments. They were talking about Alex Eala. The Sheikh, according to sources close to the family, was profoundly moved, not just by the gift itself, but by what it represented. In a world increasingly dominated by transaction, where everything comes with a price tag and every gesture seems calculated for maximum social media impact, here was a young woman who gave away her most prized possession without asking for anything in return. She didn't know who the little girl's father was. She didn't know she was standing in front of one of the wealthiest men in the Middle East. She just saw a kid who loved tennis, and she wanted to make that kid's day special. That authenticity, that pure, unfiltered kindness, struck a chord with the Sheikh that went deeper than any marketing pitch or sponsorship proposal ever could. The Sheikh wanted to respond, but not with a simple thank you note or a bouquet of flowers. He wanted to make a statement. He wanted to ensure that a talent like Alex's, combined with a heart as pure as hers, would never have to worry about the financial struggles that have derailed so many promising tennis careers. He wanted to give her the resources to compete at the absolute highest level, to remove every obstacle standing between her and greatness. And so, while Alex was resting in her hotel room, probably scrolling through messages from friends and family congratulating her on a good match, a royal courier was being dispatched. Not just any courier, mind you, a full royal convoy, the kind reserved for diplomatic missions and state affairs. Then the bombshell dropped. The official press release hit the wire services, and within minutes, the entire tennis world came to a screeching halt. The statement from the office of Sheikh Khalid al-Rashid was eloquent, heartfelt, and utterly jaw-dropping. Let me break down exactly what it said because every single word matters. The Sheikh began by acknowledging the gift his daughter received, calling it something she would treasure for the rest of her life. But then he went deeper, explaining that the real gift wasn't the racket itself, it was the lesson in generosity that Alex had provided. In a world often driven by transaction, he wrote, Miss Eala showed us the power of pure connection. Her gesture not only touched my daughter's heart, but also reminded us of the true value of kindness and passion. Beautiful words, right? The kind of thing that would make for a lovely Instagram post. But the Sheikh wasn't finished, not even close. He continued, and this is where jaws hit the floor from Manila to Monte Carlo. To honor this spirit and to support a young athlete who represents the future of this sport with such grace, I am honored to announce an exclusive partnership. My organization will officially sponsor Alexandra Eala's career moving forward. And that's when the internet absolutely exploded. Because this wasn't a patch on a tennis dress, this wasn't a couple of free pairs of shoes and some tournament wildcards. Industry analysts, sponsorship experts, and people with deep connections to the Sheikh's organization started whispering numbers that seemed impossible. We're talking about a mega sponsorship deal estimated to be worth tens of millions of US dollars per year. Let me repeat that. Tens of millions of dollars per year. Let's put this in perspective for a second. The average professional tennis player outside the top 50 in the world struggles to break even. Between coaching fees, travel expenses, tournament entry fees, physiotherapy, nutritionists, and equipment costs, being a professional tennis player is ruinously expensive. Many talented players have been forced to retire not because they lacked skill, but because they simply ran out of money. Even players ranked in the top 100 often rely on financial support from their national federations or personal sponsors just to keep their careers afloat. And here's Alex Eala, a rising star still fighting to establish herself among the elite, suddenly being handed the kind of financial backing usually reserved for Grand Slam champions and Olympic gold medalists. The details of the deal that have leaked out are absolutely staggering. This isn't just money being deposited into a bank account. This is a comprehensive, all-encompassing support system designed to transform Alex from a promising talent into a genuine world beater. First, there's the coaching component. We're talking about full access to the world's best coaches, paid for entirely by the Sheikh's organization. Want to train with the same coaching team that developed multiple Grand Slam champions? Done. Need to bring in a specialist to work on your serve or your mental game? No problem. The financial barrier that prevents most players from accessing elite coaching has been completely removed. Then there's the training facilities. Alex will reportedly have unlimited access to state-of-the-art private courts and high-performance training centers in both the Middle East and Europe. These aren't your local public courts. These are world-class facilities with perfect playing surfaces, climate control, video analysis systems, and every piece of training equipment a professional athlete could possibly need. The kind of facilities where the Rafael Nadals and Novak Djokovic of the world prepare for major championships. But it gets better. Travel arrangements. Professional tennis is a brutal global circuit. Players fly from Australia to Europe to North America to Asia, often with just days between tournaments. The travel is exhausting, and economy-class flights followed by budget hotels can leave even the fittest athletes physically depleted before they even step on the court. Alex will now reportedly have access to private jet usage for tournament travel. Imagine arriving at a tournament fresh, well-rested, having slept in a comfortable bed at 35,000 feet, instead of crammed into a middle seat in economy. The competitive advantage this provides cannot be overstated. The medical and support staff component is equally impressive. Top-tier physiotherapists to keep her body in peak condition and prevent injuries. World-class nutritionists to optimize her diet for maximum performance and recovery. sports psychologists to help her manage the mental pressures of professional competition, strength and conditioning coaches to ensure she's physically prepared for the demands of modern tennis. This is the kind of comprehensive support team that costs millions per year and that only the very wealthiest players can afford. Equipment and gear, of course, are included. The finest rackets, strings, shoes, training gear, all provided. But, perhaps most intriguingly, there are whispers of something even more valuable in the tennis world. Wildcard entries and opportunities to compete in major tournaments across the Middle East region. Wildcards are like golden tickets in tennis. They allow players to enter prestigious tournaments without having to qualify or rely on their ranking. For a player like Alex, still building her ranking, strategic wildcards into high-level tournaments can provide invaluable experience against top competition and opportunities to earn ranking points that would otherwise be inaccessible. This is the kind of comprehensive, no-expense-spared support system usually reserved for the Roger Federers, the Serena Williamses, the absolute legends of the sport who have already won multiple Grand Slams and have earned tens of millions in prize money. And it's being handed to Alex Eala not because she's already conquered the tennis world, but because she had the kindness and presence of mind to make a little girl's day special. So how did Alex react when she found out? According to multiple sources, she was in her hotel lobby when a delegation arrived to present the official contract. She had no idea they were coming. One moment she's probably thinking about what to order for dinner, the next moment she's being handed a document that will change her life forever. Witnesses say she read through the contract, saw the numbers, saw the scope of the support being offered, and completely broke down. Not in the way you might expect, with jumping and screaming and champagne corks popping. She wept. Deep, emotional tears of relief and gratitude and overwhelming emotion. A video that has been circulating widely on social media shows Alex holding the letter, her hands visibly shaking, tears streaming down her face. Her voice breaking, she says, "I just wanted to make her smile. I didn't expect this. I've never experienced anything like this. Thank you. Thank you so much." There's no performative gratitude here, no calculated response designed to maximize social media engagement. This is pure, raw, authentic emotion. The emotion of a young woman who has fought so hard for so long, who has carried the weight of an entire nation's expectations, who has struggled with the brutal financial realities of professional tennis, suddenly being told that the road ahead just got a whole lot smoother. And that reaction, that genuine, unfiltered emotional response, has resonated around the world. Because it wasn't a reaction of greed, it wasn't someone celebrating a financial windfall, it was relief. The relief of knowing that her family won't have to stress about how to fund her next tournament trip. The relief of knowing she can hire the coaches and support staff she needs to maximize her potential. The relief of knowing that financial constraints will no longer limit how far she can go in this sport. The relief of knowing that her hard work, her dedication, her character has been seen and valued. Why is this deal so monumentally significant? Let's talk about the brutal economics of professional tennis for a moment. Tennis is one of the most expensive sports in the world to compete in at a professional level. Unlike team sports where athletes are employees of their clubs and have their expenses covered, tennis players are essentially independent contractors. They pay for everything themselves: coaches, trainers, travel, accommodation, equipment, tournament entry fees. The prize money at lower-level tournaments barely covers expenses. Only players ranked in the top 50 or so start to see significant prize money, and even then, after paying their team and expenses, the margins can be surprisingly slim. For players from countries like the Philippines, where national federation funding for tennis is limited compared to wealthier nations, the challenge is even more daunting. Alex has been competing primarily on her own resources and whatever sponsorship she could secure, which, for a player still establishing herself, was modest at best. The constant financial pressure creates a vicious cycle. You need resources to compete at the highest level and improve your ranking, but you need a high ranking to secure the sponsorship resources that would allow you to compete. It's a catch-22 that has crushed countless talented players. This deal shatters that cycle completely. Alex is now financially unburdened in a way that very few players her age ever experience. She can focus 100% of her mental and physical energy on her tennis. She doesn't have to worry about whether she can afford to bring her coach to the next tournament. She doesn't have to stress about hotel costs or flight bookings or whether she should skip a tournament because the travel expenses are too high relative to the potential prize money. She can make decisions based purely on what's best for her tennis development, not on what's financially feasible. The impact on her game could be transformative. She can now hire tactical specialists who can help her develop strategies to beat the top players. She can work with biomechanics experts to optimize her technique and prevent injuries. She can afford to play a schedule that maximizes her development rather than one dictated by financial necessity. She can take care of her body with cutting-edge medical science and recovery techniques. This levels the playing field in a way that simply wasn't possible before. It gives the underdog from the Philippines the resources of a titan. The reaction in the tennis world has been extraordinary. Rival players have been publicly congratulating Alex on social media, and while there's undoubtedly some jealousy behind closed doors, the overwhelming sentiment seems to be amazement and respect. Because this deal sends a powerful message to every player in the locker room. Character counts. Being a good person matters. In an era where athletes are often advised to build their personal brand, and where every action seems calculated for maximum commercial impact, here's a story about someone who simply did something kind without any expectation of reward and was rewarded beyond her wildest dreams. From the Sheikh's perspective, this investment is brilliant. He's not just sponsoring a tennis player, he's investing in an ambassador, a symbol, a story that resonates around the world. Alex Eala represents something powerful, the next generation of global tennis stars who don't come from the traditional tennis powerhouses of the United States or Europe. She's a bridge between Asia and the Middle East. She's proof that talent and heart can emerge from anywhere. By supporting her, the Sheikh is making a statement about his values, about the importance of kindness and authenticity, about rewarding character alongside skill. The goodwill and positive publicity this generates is worth far more than the financial cost of the sponsorship. For the Philippines, this is a moment of national pride. Alex has been carrying the flag for Philippine tennis on the world stage, and now she's doing it with world-class backing. The symbolism is powerful. A Filipino athlete receiving one of the largest sponsorship deals in tennis history sends a message to every young Filipino athlete that they belong on the world stage, that their dreams are valid, that with talent and character and a bit of luck, anything is possible. Let's talk about the specific moment that started all this, because it's worth examining in detail. Alex had just finished a grueling exhibition match at a high-profile event attended by Middle Eastern royalty and VIP guests from around the world. These exhibition matches are part spectacle, part competition. They're designed to entertain the wealthy and powerful, to give them a chance to see world-class tennis up close in an intimate setting. Alex had played well, showcasing the skills that have made her one of the most exciting young prospects in tennis. But she was exhausted. The Middle East swing of the tennis tour is notoriously brutal. The heat is oppressive. The dry air is tough on the lungs and throat. The time zone changes are disorienting. And for Alex, there's always the added pressure of representation. Every time she steps on a court, she's not just playing for herself. She's playing for the Philippines, for every Filipino who sees her as proof that they can compete with anyone in the world. As she packed her bag after the match, she could have simply left. Most players do. They sign a few autographs, pose for some photos with the VIP guests, and head to the locker room. But Alex noticed something in the VIP section. A young girl, probably around 8 or 9 years old, sitting in the front row with eyes absolutely glued to the court. Security personnel later reported that the little girl had been mesmerized throughout the entire match, cheering loudly, gasping at spectacular shots, completely absorbed in the action. And clutched in her small hands was a tiny Filipino flag. She wasn't there as a neutral observer. She wasn't cheering for the higher-ranked player or the more famous player. She was cheering for Alex. Something about that image struck Alex. Maybe she saw herself in that little girl, a young person dreaming big dreams about tennis. Maybe she just responded instinctively to the pure, uncomplicated joy and admiration in the girl's eyes. Whatever the reason, Alex made a decision. She walked over to the VIP barrier, and according to witnesses, the security guards immediately tensed up. You don't just approach the family of Sheikh Khalid al-Rashid. These are people protected by some of the most sophisticated security in the world. Protocols exist for a reason. But before anyone could intervene, the Sheikh himself raised a hand, signaling the guards to stand down. He was curious to see what this young tennis player wanted. Alex looked at the little girl, who by this point was frozen in starstruck awe, and smiled. What she did next shocked everyone watching. Instead of pulling out a signed ball or a branded wristband, the kind of memorabilia athletes typically give to fans, she reached into her bag and pulled out her match-used racket. Not just any racket, but the actual racket she had just used in competition. For a tennis player, this is an incredibly significant gesture. These rackets are precisely calibrated to each player's specifications. The string tension, the grip size, the weight distribution, everything is customized. Players often have multiple identical rackets, but each one is valuable, and they're certainly not disposable souvenirs. Coaches typically tell players to guard their rackets carefully, to have backups ready, to treat them as the essential tools they are.